So we'll let people trickle in. I'm still trying to figure out if Zoom lets everybody in at once or if they do it like batch by batch. Because there were more people in the waiting room
Mm,
come
yeah,
in, but we'll see. Uh,
coming in.
and I should
Everyone.
I should like preemptively apologize to people that I'm leaving you on the screen here without me. I'll do the same thing to the viewers that I did with you. I'm
Are
gonna
we
say
live?
hello.
Are we live with them or not
We're
yet?
live with the viewers. So
Nice.
hello viewers. I'm gonna go on video, but my Wi-Fi is so bad that it'll pause. So we'll say hello from the Bat Cave. Hi
Hello,
everybody.
everybody.
Here. Gosh. Maybe
Your hair.
maybe the
That's
maybe the
great.
the hair is the reason that I'm not going on camera here. Okay, I just received a text from Kristen saying having issues getting on. Can you send the link? Yes, Kristen, we can. Ashley Garcia, Salt Lake City. Nuria, you're in Salt Lake City. Do you know
Yeah.
Ashley?
I don't think I know Ashley, but I'm in Salt Lake too, my friend.
There's what is up? We need like the Hispanic women mortgage banking industry group to get together out there. What the heck? Yeah, Ashley is a consistent viewer of these shows, and we love having her here. Hopefully, everybody can bear with me for a sec because um, looks like I need to get Kristen.
Oh, yes. Okay. I do know Ashley Garcia. She is on
Oh, hi.
my
Can you make
team.
me a
How are you,
panelist?
girl?
Attendees.
Kristen wants to be a panelist.
I'm letting her, Kristen, I'm letting you in. Hold on, we're getting you, girl. Wait, now I can't see. I don't see you in the. Oh, there she is. Okay, more. Promote to panelist. Here she comes, ladies and gentlemen. Kristen Messerly. Ow!
Thanks, Ashley. I'm way
My
happy.
gosh, that was stressful.
I know.
Tech issues, tech issues.
Oh
You,
man, yeah. I was in a wrong link apparently, and then I found
oh,
this. Anyway, happy to be
made it.
here.
Hi,
And
Kristen.
so
Yeah,
happy to
so
Nuria.
How are you?
Where are you, Robbie?
I'm at home, but I was saying to the people, my Wi-Fi has been so spotty that if I go on video, it freezes. I'll come back on and say hello quickly. Uh, but the audio is terrible. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna be the voice in the sky, as I said to Nuria. Anyways, let's get going since we're a couple minutes in here. Welcome to Mortgages with Millennials, everybody. This is a very exciting show today. We have Nuria Rivera. She is the founder and CEO of Novation Title Insurance Agency. And I'm sure, Nuria, we could have a whole discussion on title insurance, but we'll see if we get there. Because I want to talk to you a lot about how you got to this point and what's going on in the Latino lending community and those sorts of things, because you were previously the president of the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, which is cool. You're also a millennial like us, and so it's going to be an exciting discussion. I do want to say thank you very much to our sponsor today, Form Free, for sponsoring today's show. Form Free is all about owning your own data as a borrower, empowering yourself with your data, unlocking borrowing power. People should check out formfree.com. There's some really cool stuff they're doing with creating unique borrower profiles and allowing for more lending opportunities. So, Kristen, we have a whole host of topics. Would you like to launch in? Would you like me to launch it? How should we even
Sure.
start? How do you know
Yeah.
Nuria? How do you know Nuria? How'd this come
Yeah,
about?
I've known Nuria for a really long time. I don't even remember when we met, but Nuria, you've always been such an inspiring person in my life. Every time I talk to you, we just caught up yesterday and I was like, oh, my heart is full. And you're also, for those of you who don't know her, she is an absolutely brilliant person and very, like Robbie said, immediate past president of NAREP. And just really inspiring entrepreneur. So excited to hear your thoughts. I would love for you to kick us off with it being Hispanic Heritage Month to talk a little bit about the, maybe some statistics around the Hispanic Wealth Project that was released by NAREP, or anything you'd like to share to kind of frame the discussion around understanding the Latino millennial home buyer.
Yes. Well, and thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. And yes, Kristen's also a powerhouse, someone that I also admire and look up to. And I love how much she cares about the community and bringing so much real contribution and high level education to everyone in the industry. So yeah, Hispanic Heritage Month. Woo, Latinos, any Latinos in
Woo!
the house, please drop it on the chat. But I am excited to talk to you guys about our Hispanic Wealth Project, which was just released at our convention a couple of weeks ago at San Diego. We also had our keynote speaker, Tony Robbins, which was unbelievable. It was like a dream come true. I put two of my big worlds together and it was unreal. But I want to talk to you about some misconceptions of what's in the way that people still view our Hispanic and Latino community. I just dropped the link. Make sure that you read through this, you guys. It's so much good data for you to not only build your business plan, but to really bring it up to your team leaders and people who are at a higher level, for them to understand the opportunity that's being missed on our Hispanic community. So here's a myth for you. Hispanics predominantly purchase real estate in low to moderate income neighborhoods. Fact, listen to this. The majority, which is 71% of real estate purchases financed by Hispanic borrowers in 2023 were bought in the middle and upper income census tracts. Only 4% of Hispanic purchase originators last year were in the low income census tracts. Another myth for you. Myth, very few Hispanic owned businesses are employer firms. Fact, Hispanic owned employer businesses are growing at a 10 times the rate of overall employer businesses. Since the US Census Bureau started collecting data on employer firms in 2017, the number of Hispanic owned employer firms has grown by 26.1%, which is 10 times faster than the growth in employer business overall. And then in 2021, the most recent data available, there were 406,086 Hispanic-owned employer firms in the U.S., employing 3 million people and generating $573 billion in revenue. Why these statistics are important, and this is why I'm so passionate to talk about this, you guys. So Kristen, and feel free to jump in this because I know we had a great conversation around this. The perception, the old way and old perception of what Latinos are doing in America looks like, oh, we're doing all the jobs that nobody wants to do, right? Does that still exist? Absolutely. Do we honor and respect our people who are doing those type of jobs? Absolutely. They're incredible. And there are people who are millennials like me. I arrived to this country when I was 11 years old. I run a multi-million-dollar business, and the properties and investments that I'm buying are on the higher end. So what's happening here is that people are still seeing our demographic as, low income, they're not making a lot of money, I'm not getting involved, when in reality, you guys are missing a lot of opportunity of people like me, people, there are millennials, some people like you on the call who are loan officers killing it, making 7 figures. And so I want to really bring that perspective into your world today to enlighten you, to wake you up a little bit. But what's really cool about our culture is that we really are very proud and we really respect the people who understand our culture. We obviously speak English and most of us Spanish, both languages, but also we really admire brands and companies who really get us and that are have some sort of level of respect and understanding of our culture. So that's why you see great brands really incorporating the Latino community, our culture, we're being seen. And so that's something that we're very attracted to. So, and then maybe I'll open it up for questions from Kristen. We just had our convention, this private session with all C-suite level people who are a part of NARIP, which are people like CEO of Century 21, CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, and then we have a lot of lending companies who participate. We had a private session for them with Marissa Solis, who is the vice president of marketing for the NFL. Okay, this lady is a powerhouse, and something she talked about that I loved her conversation because she's in front of all of these C-suite level people, is saying, guess what? The NFL does not have a sector that is only for Latinos. We have the Latino community as a part of our foundation of strategy. They are not a different sector. This is where I feel a lot of companies really miss the boat, and corporations. It's like, it's not just for you guys to check a box of being, you know, like, oh, we're in the box of D&I. So we're good. You know, we have that sector. We have this, you know, people, anyone who's Latino or a minority or of color can participate in this sector. We're not separate. We're here. We're growing, and we're really moving this whole country to different levels. And the people who are not seeing that and appreciating it are really missing a boat.
Yeah, I think so many companies are really, I mean, at least whenever I was running cultural outreach, we saw a lot of the check the box situation. And you're right. I mean, over 20%, I think, of US millennials are Hispanic and Latino. So there's a good portion of the population, and a lot of people who are integrated into the culture and want to see that reflected back to them. So what are some of the ways that you feel, you talked a little bit about Latinos feeling kind of misunderstood and some of the misconceptions there. What are some ways that you have seen companies doing it well, I guess, or like, you know, ways that you as a Latina millennial feel understood by companies or people that you work with?
Yeah, it's just really, first of all, I would say the hiring of our people, you know, how do you get the perception, understand the culture if you're not hiring someone of talent who is from that culture? And so in giving the opportunity, we have brilliant minds out there. We have very great talent and people who are, you know, have masters and degrees and that are very talented. So giving the right people the opportunity to lead at a high level. I've seen in a lot of lending corporations where there's very minimal C-suite people who are Latinos. And so it's always very encouraging to see these people, you know, in NARA that are here at our corporate board of governors that are Latinos, that are having that seat at the table, so that culture can really be brought in understanding, because our culture is different. The way that people buy is different. We're very, we still believe in that loyalty and trust. You know, that's super important for our buyers. We're still living in multi-generational homes, right? So that's still very present, even in higher end homes. It's not abnormal that you'll have your mom and your grandparents living there. So it's not about this low income housing, which I fully support, and I want there to be affordability 100%. So everyone has that opportunity for the American dream. But I think that, to answer your question, Kristen, I think the best scenarios I've seen of brands and companies and loan officers that are really crushing the game is really understanding that we're seeing that your marketing pieces include us, right? Even using some of the language in some of it, being having fun with it, right? And us knowing that we belong. So if in your marketing you're inclusive, you're using maybe some memes, you're even using some of the language, but if your branding is only, again, just checking a box, we feel that right away. So authenticity is super crucial. So have fun with it. Don't just say, hablo español, or, you know, like that your team's Spanish speaking. That's great, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for that depth and connection and a place where we feel that we can belong in.
Yeah, Nuria, I was going to say, you mentioned the word loyalty, and I get that that's very important. I want to make this practical for the listeners out there, the viewers of this show. How can they engender loyalty, whether that's trying to educate instead of sell, whether that's being a consistent presence in their potential borrowers' lives? What have you seen as some really good techniques that engender loyalty that win that Latino business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, what's really cool about the demographic is that, yeah, the kids are still asking the parents, like, who did you trust in your process, in your home buying process? And so those referrals for that young from that younger generation are still going to be very well connected to you helping the parents. So don't not help the parents because they might be low income housing because their kids are like me. Does that make sense? So don't miss the boat. But the loyalty piece in the way that you can share it is simply just having that as a part of your strategy. Just like Marissa Solis said, that, the VP of marketing and strategy in the NFL, don't have us be a separate sector for you. Have us be a part of the whole foundation. And how you do that is seeing it in the advertising and marketing. I'm sure you guys do this. I'm sure you have social media. And so having those testimonials, that we're seeing you do help our community from, our Latinos, testimonials, maybe even from someone that has some broken English, and that's okay too. And so I think it's more of just participating in a holistic approach rather than having us be this like separation sector that you might help sometimes.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing you say too is that you're incorporating the voice of the consumer, and I feel like that's when I started working in DEI, it was very like, let's just bring someone's, get more voices to the table, and now it's more about instead of it being siloed, it's more part of the collective. And I love the idea of like, how are you hearing from your customers? Are you getting that the real sampling of your consumer to find out what is making them feel seen and heard, and they're having a good experience? And then how are you hiring people from that community and even if you have a small team, like having someone that is going to, it's a big enough part of the population, right, to be able to justify really making that a crucial part of your team. I would love to hear, Nuria, a little bit. I want to get more into strategy, and for those of you on the call, feel free to drop your questions and your thoughts into the chat. But I want to hear a little bit more about your story as well. Like, what, how did you get to the place that you are today, and what are some of the things that you feel as first generation coming into the States and going through the process of buying your home and now being a successful entrepreneur and investor, that you feel were really important to you as a millennial home buyer?
Nuria, I'll add to that also. Where'd you learn about getting a mortgage? Where were you educated about personal finance and investments and those sorts of things?
Yeah, these are some great questions. And so I learned it because my dad used to be a real estate agent back in the day, back when you didn't have to have a job and get a loan. But so I'd hear the language in my house, on a constant basis. So I learned about it, but I definitely remember the first time we were able to buy a home as an immigrant family, and we moved around quite a bit. We lived in basement apartments. I mean, some of you that might have an immigrant story can relate to this, right? So we got to the US when I was 11, didn't know the language. My dad got here first so that he could, like have enough savings to bring us over. I flew into the country. And we established in Salt Lake City, actually American Fork, for those of you who are in Utah. But, started like any immigrant family starts. We lived in a basement apartment. My parents were working hard. We didn't have a lot of money for anything extra. We got a lot of help from our community. And so we were a low income house. And then I just remember that my dad had heard that, there's a possibility of buying a home, and there was down payment assistance and things. And I remember getting into the first house that we bought, and it was actually left as a disaster. Like, there were a lot of items that were left in it. There was a lot of work that me and my family to put into it to clean it up. But having that freedom as a little, young girl of like, oh my gosh, we can paint the walls the color that we want to. me and my sister each have our own room. We have our own backyard where we can jump on the trampoline. And just that joy of family, of those values that are still very important to us, of that American dream of having a little piece of land that we could call our own, was very impactful and very special. And even as a young girl, I remember those feelings. And so please don't underestimate the power that you have as a mortgage professional of, I know we're getting the trenches every day and it's like, oh, it's just a daily thing, but just don't underestimate the power that you have in that impact, in that story, of really helping accomplish that dream. But that was my experience of becoming, first-time homeowners. And then at 20, I think I was 19, I bought a condo and then kind of built from there. And there was affordability, affordability was way more accessible back then. So I'm grateful for that. But you build from there, right? Everyone starts at a certain place. I do believe there's still a lack of educating our people on being mortgage ready. If you can become that expert, you don't have to be Latino or Latina, but if you can pay attention to this and help educate our people how your programs work and how easy they can get into a home, or getting maybe not only a co-borrower, but maybe a third co-borrower, and getting the people in the home and giving them this opportunity is really unforgettable. And because of the loyalty aspect that we were talking about earlier, remember, you're helping their family, you're helping their parents and their grandparents, and then their children, me, will remember that. And then you're building a very bright future, because now you're getting people like me buying multi-million-dollar homes, or, maybe buildings and things like that. So you're really planting seeds for that bright future, and people will never forget that.
Nuria, I'm wondering if you can maybe add some color to this story. My friend Mauricio is a lecturer getting his PhD at the University of Nevada, Reno. And he brought me in to speak to his class. And there's this, in talking with him, oh, bro, should I rent? Should I buy? What should I do? He immigrated here from Mexico with his brother Hector. His parents are still in Mexico. He's so analytical about what he does. And so it was like, do I rent? Do I buy? What are the calculations and all this math behind it? But there's also hey, if you're getting multiple generations in a home, there's cost savings there. And I'm just trying to figure out what sort of logic appeals to the Latino community when it comes to where should I buy? How much should I spend on a house? Should I have my family involved? What type of house? Those sorts of things. If you can elaborate in any way.
Yeah, I think it's very case by case basis, because everyone does have a different story, right? Like, if they're a brand new family that just immigrated, it's gonna be, let's just get into wherever we can be, that's so some sort of safe neighborhood where our kids have opportunity. So I think it's more of a case by case basis. But the one thing that really is a common theme with our culture is we still very much believe in that American dream. When you compare millennials who are non-Hispanic to millennials who are non-Hispanic, millennials are very much about the investment and how to grow money, right? They're like, we know if this is going to be a great return of investment for us, with having the lifestyle we want, with being able to Airbnb it because we work remotely, right? So there's all of that aspect of our generation, and even Gen Zers. So take that into consideration. So we're millennials too, but the thing that makes it a little bit different is that we still value very much that American dream aspect. So yes, we care about the investment part. Yes, we care about, the returns and things like that, but we still want the American dream. So painting that picture of how we can accomplish that, buying that piece of land, is something that you can definitely speak on. And how to get there, there's multiple strategies. We can get, you and your mom and your dad to apply for the loan and get you qualified. And this is the demographic that's very open to that, because it's not necessarily about I need to buy a house by myself. because we value family so much, they could be buying a $2 million home and still being okay with having co-borrowers and living all in the same space. So I would focus more on how do we get you a piece of this American dream, and here are many strategies on how to get you there, versus maybe, because everyone's going to just be in a different place in their life, right? Better jobs, better income, maybe new to the country. So there's a lot to play in. And how you guys just heard on the statistics that I just said, we're very entrepreneurial. So perhaps your avatar is to go after Latino entrepreneurs. And obviously that's a different, income, and they're going to probably be qualified for a higher mortgage and buy into a better neighborhood and a home. And so, and not only are we very entrepreneurial, Latinas are actually even more. So there's more Latinas owned businesses that are thriving and growing, as well as we're the youngest demographic in the nation, you guys. Our median age is 30 or 31. So that just goes to show you how important this data on this report is. And I really hope that you take the time to really read it, look at it. And then we also have our state of Hispanic homeownership report also on that website that I dropped. So it's crucial that you really get educated on what you're missing out on.
It's really interesting to think about the that emphasis on the American dream. With First Home IQ, of course, our nonprofit focused on financial literacy for the next generation, we made our tagline "Own Your Future," and part of that was because talking about home ownership feels so inaccessible to the next generation that you have to start with this holistic idea of like, we're building a future and you're building wealth. But for the Hispanic population, I think there is still it's very much rooted in the culture that you're going to, or that you want to own. I remember now we're at past conferences, people talking about owning a piece of the rock, and that was very much a very core, that's a core piece of the culture that we can understand as we're reaching the next generation, how we build on that and help to paint that picture as in looking at creative resources. And I dropped a link to a co-buying episode that we did, which we didn't really, I don't know if we talked too much about the Latino population, but that would be a really important piece of that as you think about co-buying and different strategies to accommodate multi-generational housing. And anyway, just looking at how you paint that picture and get creative with the resources. I think that's great.
And Nuria,
yeah.
go ahead, Kristen.
No, go ahead.
So Nuria, in addition to the purchasing power, which you've outlined here, and I'm blown away by, I'm always blown away by just the sheer number of Latinos in America and the way that the population is increasing. It's good, it's becoming such a large subset of the nation. I think by 2050, there's some stats that's going to reach, more than a third of the American population, and it's massive. I'm wondering why it's overlooked by mortgage professionals. You would think that that's like a market that I'd be diving into. Maybe they feel like if they're not Latino, they have a high barrier to entry and they're not going to be able to penetrate that market. What do you see as reasons that mortgage professionals have been neglecting this segment?
Yeah, I think there's a few reasons, but and one, to Mark's point, where he just talked about don't take the loyalty for granted. It's very true. Back in the heydays where everyone was allowed to get a mortgage, our people were very taken advantage of. I remember, the yield spread was like crazy, and mortgage loan officers were making 20 grand on something they shouldn't have. So people were taken advantage of. But I think a few things, I think some loan officers feel like if they're not from the culture, like, how can I serve them? But just to that point, loyalty doesn't come because you necessarily come from where we come from. Loyalty comes from us trusting you that you did, you helped us get what we wanted in a way of integrity, and we're going to remember that, and we feel understood by you. So please don't steer away from thinking that you can't help our community because we're loyal, and it doesn't mean you have to be Hispanic to be able to serve our demographic. And then another point I feel is that most people, just assume that we're all low income housing and you're seeking affordability, which I don't want to take away from that, because I do feel like it's very important to give everybody an opportunity. But as I've mentioned at the beginning of the call, it's not that anymore. If our median age is 31 years old, guess what? We're getting very mortgage ready, and people are owning businesses, and they are not looking for necessarily low income housing. And so it's just a misconception that I think is a huge block in opportunity. It's a limiting belief. And but I would not do yourself the disservice of having Latinos in a separate thing, or that's not really my avatar. Just like the NFL, incorporates us into the whole strategy, you should too.
Kristen, I think I cut you off last time. I don't want to put you on the spot too much. Do you have you done statistics on Latino lending and some of the next gen home buyer stuff? Have you been able to cut it out or...
I have, and I should have pulled some of that, but NAREP does such a great job with bringing out data on this population. So I really leave a lot of that there. But I do think it's interesting to note that when you looked at what was it, trust and oh gosh, I'll have to look back. There were a couple different categories where, support was a big one, where the Latino population and Black households felt that or millennials felt that they didn't have as much support or access to resources or trust as white millennials. And I think that's very much not surprising. It's the reality. But I think it shows an opportunity, just as Nuria has been talking about, like there's a huge opportunity to build trust and do so, of course, in a way that is going to educate and empower the population, those millennials, to be able to buy homes. But I think there's so many of minority segments within millennials that just feel that they don't have access to the resources they need. So it just creates a big opportunity there. I don't remember what I was going to ask Nuria before, but with us having about 10 minutes left in the show, I'd love, Nuria, is there anything else that you want to share with, especially thinking about loan officers on this call who are wanting to better reach and serve this population? Is there anything that you feel we need to touch on to be able to really help people make smarter decisions around their marketing or their sales or customer experience to better reach and serve Hispanic millennials?
Yeah, so just marketing anytime, that you're working on your marketing strategy and sales strategy, is define who you are speaking to and define your message, right? And that goes for just marketing 101. So who is your avatar? Who are you speaking to? And what's your message? So I would say that just like the NFL is doing, again, don't put us in a different sector, but add us to the core strategy that you have for sales and marketing for especially next year, right? Like right now, I'm already starting the business plan. And so I hope that in the next quarter, you guys are too, right? To define and get clear on who you're talking to. And so with this information that you've received today, with these links that we've dropped for you to really do a little bit more research, is define who you're going to talk to, and if your target audience is going to be, I'm going to go after millennials. And it's like, cool, I'm going to go after millennials. And that includes Latino millennials. Everything that I've learned from the call today that Nuria shared, I need to incorporate it to my marketing, and perhaps it's a non-Hispanic millennial with a Hispanic millennial. that's on your team, perhaps if you're building a team. So they're talking about it. I mean, make it fun. Latinos, we have inside jokes and just little things that can be said in Spanish for 2 seconds, and people who are Latino will get it. And mix it into your strategy, have it be a collaborative result rather than a separate. So that's the biggest thing I think I can give today. And then also define who you're talking to and who that message is to. If you're going to go after all business owners, awesome. Then nail down what your marketing strategy is for that, but include Latino business owners, right? And so, and build upon it. Marketing is very about testing, and but definitely learn about the culture, hire people who are Latino so that you really understand, and just build from there, really.
And Nuria, you have also been a manager of a lot of millennials and now probably Gen Z. We haven't talked about that in a while, but do you have any tips or strategies for those who are managing, younger people on their team?
Yeah. With younger people, they relate a lot to mission and purpose. So I would say if you're unclear on what your values are as your brand or as even a solopreneur, or you're building a team, you have to define what your values are, because your values are really guiding your life, whether you know it or not, and especially also with your business. So what are your values, and making sure that you're hiring people who share your values is crucial. But also having purpose and a mission. So what's the purpose behind what you're doing? If you're just doing it to make a killing and become a millionaire and it's money driven, I'm not taking any of that away. Like, I've been there. I love it. I love, abundance and growing and wealth building. However, there has to be a deeper mission of why you're doing what you're doing every day. You need to define that, and you need to know that. And also, when you're in a networking opportunity, please don't just go and say, yeah, I'm a loan officer with X company. That will not set you apart. What is the one-liner that will actually create curiosity in someone for them to want to get to know you more? And that's your job, is really defining that like quick elevator pitch of, I help Hispanic millennials get into their American dream home. Oh, how do you do that? Then there creates curiosity instead of, I'm Nuria and I am a loan officer. Awesome. Like, like everyone here is that. So define your values, define your mission, your purpose, and stand out of the crowd, in a crowd. Like, what is it about you that makes you different and special, and stop saying the same thing that everyone else is saying in the opportunity, right? And so, yeah, those are some of my thoughts on that.
Love it.
Nuria, I think we didn't explore the origin story enough here. I'm going to ask you to toot your horn maybe a little bit, and I hate to keep using the word powerhouse here, but I'm on the call with two powerhouse ladies here today. And so, coming from Mexico, immigrating to America, what do you feel like makes you different and special, to use your own words, to get where you have gotten to in mortgage? And on top, I mean, were you entrepreneurial from the beginning? Were you running lemonade stands when you were a kid? Where did this come from?
Yeah, I think since I was little, I was very entrepreneurial. I was like selling stuff in my school bus to kids, like, so it's funny. But I launched my title company at the age of 31. And my reason was that I felt that it needed to be disrupted, because it's a very dinosaur, old school, very male dominant, which I love men. I'm not, there's been some incredible men who have been a huge part of my success, but I wanted to come in with something more alive. I felt that people and consumers deserved a much better experience than what was being offered across the board. And I said, if I'm staying in this industry, I'm going to disrupt it. And so that's been a huge thing for me. And it's been fun, because a lot of people duplicate and adopt, some of our ideas that have been implemented, and we've definitely made a difference and noise. And so that was my mission, really, to help make a difference and bring something special, as well as internally. As much as I'm obsessed with my clients, real estate agents and loan officers, and finding ways to really help you build and build your business, not just saying that we have great resources that we provide, but also internally. I help leaders. I build people. I want to give them opportunities, not only in learning, how to be great in the title industry, but how to be a better version of themselves in all areas of life. And so, health, how to build their finances and how to invest, we have a health challenge. Like, there's a lot of love that goes into my people to make sure that they're growing and they're happy. Like, they come in and they enjoy where they work. And so that was huge for me too. And that's been my motto.
So I should probably do a market update here because there's been a lot of stuff going on. But quickly, Nuria, before I do, where do you get your news on the market? How do you stay informed about what's going on in mortgage? What are some of your resources?
I follow even if I don't want to, I hear it from, I just get on social media and all of my clients are, giving information. But when I want to go to the source, definitely NAREP's been a huge source for me because I know that data is legit. And then just my relationships in the industry. But I've had access like Barry Habib, right? I know he's kind of a legend. He said some things like that aren't last year. He's like, I think he was saying May 1st, rates are going to drop. And I was so excited, and then they never did. And so I know not a lot of people have it. No one really knows the future. But as an economy as a whole, I'm interested in that. So Tony Robbins is always a huge resource for me, and the people I've gotten to hear speak at his events, the Ray Dalios of the world. He's, legendary in finance. So I just listen to sources who I don't care about influencers on social media. I'm not going to listen to those people. I'm going to listen to people who have done the work and have had actual results in history, not because someone has 1 million followers. That's huge for me. So yeah, those are some of the people I follow.
That's pretty cool. We got to get you on the Crispin commentary if you haven't gotten on it
Oh,
thus far.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard of him. He actually spoke at NARP, I'm pretty sure.
There you go.
Mhm.
I think he's on the call today watching in. But I was going to say, it's too bad about Barry saying rates are going down and then they go up. I thought he was like the one guy with a crystal ball.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk what's going to happen in the future quickly here, since I think we have about 2 more minutes. The Fed obviously cut rates last week. I would remind people, though, this had been priced in to the market. There was some confusion, I guess, whether it was going to be 25 or 50 basis points, but the Fed's done a good job of telegraphing its moves. So it's not like we're going to see mortgage rates plummet here because these Fed rate cuts. I think it's another call it 75 basis points this year, and then another 75 basis points in 2025 have already been priced in. And so there's not going to be this huge refi wave necessarily, or we're not going to see rates plummet. Even if rates drop 1%, it's not like many more borrowers become refinance eligible, since so much of the universe is in that 3% to 4% rate range. However, let's be positive here. In traveling around the industry and talking to people, there's a real upbeat excitement out there that this next year is going to be better than this last year was for mortgage lending. And I think it's really cool to see. It's like the storm clouds are behind us a little bit, and we can start to look forward to brighter days. So I think that's really exciting. I know regardless of where the industry goes, you two are definitely going to be at the forefront of it. And I just want to say thank you very much, Nuria, for coming on today's show. Thank you, Kristen. As always, I thought this was a fantastic show for listeners. And a big thank you to Form Free for sponsoring today's show. Check out what they're doing with borrower profiles at formfree.com. Kristen, always a pleasure. Any parting words before we say goodbye?
Just thank you so much, Nuria, for spending some time with us. Your story is always inspiring, and the data and conversation we had is really, really interesting. So thanks everybody for being here, and thank you, Robbie.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.